reasons, did not entirely trust me, and had withheld the remaining journals in her possession. Although I had only been running the magazine for this short time, after a long and harrowing night of reading the journals, I decided on impulse to take a kind of unofficial leave of absence. To this end, from a storage barn on our family farm in Libertyville, Illinois, I resurrected my father's beat-up old 1972 Airstream trailer and the 1979 GMC Suburban with which he pulled it on our summer trips to Indian country when I was a boy. After roughly 10 days of cleaning and trips to my mechanic, doing our best to make both of these decrepit vehicles at least minimally functional and roadworthy again, I set out from Chicago for the Tongue River Indian Reservation in southeastern Montana. My ostensible reason for this flight west was to try to convince Molly Standing Bear to allow me to publish the rest of the story. But as I drove, entering the Great Plains under a vast sky and distant horizons, offering liberation from the constraints of the city, I realized that in a sense I was also paying homage to my father and to my own childhood. We had lost my mother to cancer when I was 7 years old, and those summer excursions began shortly thereafter and were to become the happiest times of my life with Dad. He was a Western history buff, specializing in the study of the Plains Indian tribes, and so our trips west always had a professional purpose, which made me feel importantly grown up, for I was his assistant. Finally, as readers both new and old will discover in the following pages, in order to secure the rights to Molly Standing Bear's story, I was required to make certain concessions, chief among them to allow this mysterious young woman to serve as editor and annotator of the final installment of her tale without any editorial interference. Hardly an easy decision for me, as it went against all my training and instincts. In addition, I must confess that certain revelations herein, regarding my personal and professional behavior, are frankly embarrassing. Still, I made a deal with Molly Standing Bear, and in this spirit, I turn this series over to her. The following journals are here reprinted with the exclusive permission of Chi-Town Magazine.
Introduction by Molly Standing Bear. I've decided I'm not giving the rest of this story to the white man editor J.W. Dodd after all. It belongs to me, to my family, to the people, and especially to the Stronghearts, and no one can tell it better than I. You see, first they invaded our country, sent their army to massacre us, stole our land, our way of life, our culture. To facilitate that process, they destroyed our livelihood by killing off our brothers, the buffalo, over 30 million of whom once populated these vast plains of grass. By the time the white man's extermination was complete, their numbers had been reduced to a few hundred left in Yellowstone Park, and those few of us who had survived the wars had been confined on reservations, which we were not allowed to leave. They stole our children, and with them our language, sent them to schools run by priests, cut their hair short, beat them if they spoke their own tongue, and abused them in ways unknown and unimaginable to the people. And then, as if that wasn't enough, they stole our history and our stories, twisted and perverted them to hide the shame of their own behavior, to absolve them of guilt for their insatiable greed, their insatiable need to acquire. Does this sound like the America you know? No? Well, I didn't think so. But it is the one we know. It's not that I have anything against J.W. Dodd. Quite the contrary. I like the man, and I remember having a little yearning for him way back when I was a kid on the res. We Indian girls didn't meet many white boys in those days, and if we did, it wasn't the kind of encounter you'd want to have. In fact, J.W. was the first white boy I ever liked, and he liked me too. He used to come out in the summertime with his dad, who went by the name of